Welcome to Rhythm University. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to best review your quarterly plan with your team to ensure it's complete and sufficient to achieve your goals for a successful quarter. So you've just completed your quarterly planning session and are ready to execute. But before you get started, how do you know if you have the right plan in place? How do you know you're setting up your team for a successful quarter or not? Our rhythm coaches have helped hundreds of clients review thousands of plans over the years. Some were great, some needed a few tweaks, while others just needed to go back to the drawing board. Now we know a good quarterly plan passes these four simple tests: a financial test, a focus test, an energy test, and an accountability test. And I'm going to talk you through those four tests in this video. The first is a financial test. Ask your team this question: if we successfully complete this plan, will we also achieve our financial goals? Seems like an obvious assumption to make, but we've seen companies successfully achieve every one of their priorities and at the end of the quarter tell us it was a lousy quarter. You need to make sure you have the right KPIs and priorities in place as part of your quarterly plan to ensure your team is aligned to achieve your financial targets. Let me show you how to do this in Rhythm. First, log into the Rhythm software, click on the navigation pop-up, and then select Quarterly Planning. Click Quarterly Plan, and then click on Quarter Focus. Now in your planning session, you should have identified and recorded some targets for the quarter. I'm going to focus in on financial targets in this test, and we see we have a sales revenue target of $20 million. Now what we need to do is ensure we have a KPI or a company priority dashboard in place to achieve the $20 million in sales revenue. So let's take a look at our KPIs list. And we're looking for a sales revenue KPI, and we see that right here. So that's good. Now let's open up and make sure that the red, yellow, green criteria on that KPI match the target. In this case it does. Green is set to 20 million. So far we're passing the test. Now you want to repeat this test for every one of your financial targets, whether it's EBITDA, profit, etc. Ensure you have a KPI or company priority in place that has a green target that matches the plan target. That's the financial test. Next, let's talk about the focus test. Now let's go back to the quarter focus screen. And you want to ask yourself a few questions here. First, is our main thing clear to everyone and supported by the company priorities? Let's take a look. Is the main thing clear? In this case, it's a new product launch, and it has a measurable success target of $4 million of new product sales. Very important to identify both of these items and make sure they're clear to everyone. Now let's see if our company priorities are aligned to achieve that main thing and success target. Let's take a look. We'll click on Company Group Priorities. Our top priority for the company for the quarter is secure $4 million of new product sales. That aligns perfectly with our success target on our theme. The next company priority is launch the new product. Aligns perfectly with our theme. So far we're passing the focus test. If your top company priorities are not aligned with your theme and success target, adjust the plan so that you can ensure you'll achieve your focus. Next question you want to ask is, do we have at most 5 company priorities? We often see 5 to 10 company priorities. If that's the case, reduce the list, get better focus. You want at most 5 company priorities. In this case, there was a core of 4 priorities with an operational category. So again, so far it's passing the focus test. Next, do we have KPIs or company priorities dashboards to track the execution to achieve our critical numbers? Let's go back and look at our focus for the quarter. We've identified 2 critical numbers, top goals we want to achieve. First is our number of customer demos. This is a leading indicator for our sales revenue. And then an NPS survey after the product is installed. Critical number 2. Let's make sure we have KPIs or priorities dashboards in place for these critical numbers. Let's look at our KPIs list. The one at the top of the list is number of customer demos. This is good, so it's aligning with our critical number 1. Now we want to make sure the red, yellow, green are aligned. So let's open this up. And we can see that it is. So far we're passing the test. If you don't have that KPI, or if the red, yellow, green is not aligned, make the adjustments. Add the KPI or adjust the red, yellow, green. I also recommend you number your critical numbers KPIs dashboards as 0 so they float to the top of your KPIs list. Now let's go back to our list and make sure we have a KPI for critical number 2. And I like this 13-week race view. That's the view I'm using right here. It's a nice dashboard listing. Our critical number 2 is NPS survey after installed. And that's the second number on the list, second KPI on the list. And again, let's check the red, yellow, green. Good, they match. And it's numbered 0, so it floats to the top of the list. So far we're passing the focus test. That's good. Now, let's take a look at each person's individual priorities. And we'll navigate to the individual priorities button. And for each person in the list, we want to work through the list to ensure that they have no more than 5 priorities. That's the first question. Does each individual have 5 priorities or less? The next question is, is anything on their list kind of out in left field? Teams should challenge each other's priorities to make sure no one is overloaded or focusing on things that aren't important to the company plan. So review each of the priorities for each of the individuals and adjust as needed. Just working your way down this list. Next, are all the individual priorities linked to the proper company priorities they support? You can see that here in this list. If any adjustments need to be made, you can open up the priority and adjust the link right here. Next test is the energy test. And the question you want to ask there is, do we have enough energy or individual priorities focused on the number 1 company priority? Now, to do the energy test, navigate to the company group priorities screen. You can see the company priorities energy map listed here. And we've built this patented energy map to help you test your energy at the beginning of the quarter so that you can make adjustments to succeed on your plan, not be blindsided by a missed company priority. And we want to make sure that the amount of energy the team is expending is directed toward the top company priorities. In this case, we see a good energy map. Most of the company priorities energy is on the top company priorities. These squares represent linked individual priorities that are aligned to achieve the company priorities. And so you want to make sure each of these passes the energy test. So this looks pretty good. The bulk of the team energy is toward the top company priorities. This one doesn't look so good. If your plan looks like this, you've got an energy alignment problem. Most of the team energy is aligned toward this operational category and down on the lower priorities for the company. If your plan looks like this, you need to make some adjustments. Work as a team and redirect your team energy to the top company priorities so that you can achieve success. And the beauty of this is you can know this in week 1 of the quarter rather than finding out in week 10 and missing the goals. So that's the energy test. Finally, let's talk about the accountability test. We'll go back to the good plan here. And in the accountability test, you want to make sure that all priorities have clear red, yellow, green success criteria that everyone agrees on. You want to do this for all the priorities and all the KPIs. And so review them as a team. Open up each company priority. You can move this handle up so you can review them as a team. And make sure that each priority has red, yellow, green criteria that each team member agrees on. And you can review each one just by hovering over this square. We'll tell you the red, yellow, green criteria and work on that together as a team. Next, check the due dates. Make sure the due dates are correct for each of the priorities, especially ones dependent on each other. Next, do the same activity for all your KPIs. Look at your KPIs list and ensure that your KPIs all have the correct red, yellow, green criteria for the current quarter. And then ask yourself, is each priority and KPI ready to be statused in a meaningful way so that you can start your weekly adjustment meetings? Now, if your plan doesn't pass all 4 of those tests, reconvene the team and make some adjustments. It's best to slow down and do things correctly in week 1 instead of realizing your plan wasn't the best in week 10 and ending up with bad results. Once your team passes the tests, you're ready to execute. Work your plan daily and review your plan execution weekly to make the needed adjustments throughout the quarter to achieve success.